Tara, Day 4. This is a story about an extraordinary creature of the planet of the fiery tree and the chocolate caves. His name was Tara. The color of his eyes kept changing. At times they turned blue, sometimes green, and at other moments they flared with a warm brown glow, as if all the times of his life were reflected in them. Back then, in the year 2138, Tara noticed that the silence between his steps sounded louder than the steps themselves. He moved more slowly than before, but the clouds did not know this. And so Tara kept hopping across them anyway, clumsily, with effort, yet with that quiet persistence that had always lived within him. The clouds were soft and luminous, holding the warmth of past suns inside them. They glowed gently from within, catching his steps and carrying him with care. Through the clouds emerged the crown of the tree of young blood, enormous, with fiery red leaves that crackled in the wind, sounding like the whispers of ancient songs. Tara plucked them carefully, as if touching living memories. The edges of the leaves shimmered with firelight, and the bark of the tree was breathing. Thin rays shone through it, like the breath of the planet itself beneath his paws. The air was filled with the scent of spices and a hint of smoke, as if Tarana herself were singing to him through the wind. This ancient tree had stood for centuries and bore its name thanks to the quinins, tiny creatures, no taller than Tara's knee, secretive and mysterious. They lived deep within the chocolate caves, always watching, but almost never showing themselves. Sometimes, in the darkness, one could glimpse only flickering lights, blinking in unison, like a cipher from a forgotten language. The caves themselves were scattered across the valley, resembling little pots filled with sweetness and mystery. From them exhaled a warm, syrupy mist, lazily spreading between golden hills and the silver river that cut the valley in two. Tara loved resting by this river, drawing in the water with his long nose and watching the dark blue sun reflected on its surface. In the distance shimmered a transparent blue cliff, while enormous lemon-colored drops of rain slowly descended to the ground, settling between the purple lilac grass and fragile, translucent flowers. Sometimes the world pretends it is the same, Tara thought, and then suddenly it becomes different. He reached for a yellow flower, inhaled, and immediately pulled his nose back. The sting was tiny, yet Tara felt as though he had lost one small thought without even having time to say goodbye to it. By evening, the air grew colder. Preparing for the long night, Tara leaned his head against a coral tree with a fluffy trunk and began to sing a song that slowly spread all around. At the sound of this song, the quinins hid deeper, perhaps because within it sounded the memory of the world, and too ancient and too incomprehensible for them. And in this song, he sang of a distant galaxy, of a planet of green clouds, where once lived an extraordinary being named Tara. His home was a magical place where clouds glowed from within and a tree with fiery leaves whispered ancient secrets. The blue sun slowly sank as if afraid to disturb the evening, and pearlescent light fell upon the chocolate caves, the silver rivers, and the low hill where Tara stretched sweetly in coral pink moss, allowing himself the luxury of thinking of nothing at all. In that light, the world seemed old and kind, and time rustled nearby like warm moss. And when the last sound of his song dissolved into the sky, everything grew especially quiet. The syrupy mist froze in place, the fiery leaves stopped rustling, and only the river whispered something barely audible. And somewhere deep inside, Tara felt the planet awaken. First, a gentle tremor as if someone beneath the ground had yawned. Then, a soft chime, like the laughter of blades of grass. And then, a silence so deep that even the clouds stopped to listen. And suddenly, from this silence, light burst forth, warm, playful, alive. It touched Tara, curled around his nose, tickled softly along his back, and click, as if someone had opened a little door right in the sky. The air filled with the scent of stars. The gold of the valley flared, and the syrupy mist rose upward, shimmering with all the colors that had not yet been named. How are the quinins in their caves? Tara wondered. He decided to check. The quinins appeared from the grottos only for a short window, from 7 to 3. Their lights flashed briefly in the dark openings and vanished at once. No one knew what they did the rest of the time. The caves were strictly guarded, and all paths inside ended with a silent no entry. Tara approached the entrance and listened, stepped back. Little by little, as often happened to him, he sank into a warm reverie, a moment so good that nothing needed changing and nowhere needed going. He cautiously slipped his nose into the dark hollow. It seemed to him that this was the perfect moment to wish the quinins good night. And suddenly his nose was pulled. It was unexpected. Tara braced his paws against the ground and staggered backward. His nose stretched as if it had turned to rubber. And then he was released, and in the next instant he was flying upward. He was lifted and carried into the heights, past the mountains, far from the caves, as if the world were twisting into a spiral. He flew so fast that he could no longer tell where his paws ended and his nose began. The speed increased. Everything inside him rang, not from cold, but from motion. Reality shattered into tiny shimmering bubbles that spun around his head, tickling, covering his eyes, making it hard to see. Tara's world was slipping away. He looked down, trying to understand where he was being carried. And then, stopping his resistance, he surrendered to the flow, entrusting his fate to the universe. Day 3, falling to earth. Tara was falling slowly. First he felt cold, and then he settled onto something soft. It was the surface of earth. He inhaled, but unlike at home, the air did not respond in any way. It simply went in and out. Tara listened. Everything around him was surprisingly quiet. This planet did not speak loudly. It seemed to whisper. He stood up and took his first step. A mark remained beneath his foot. "My footprint follows me," Tara said in wonder. He found it amusing that every step left a trace. He walked, glancing back at them, trying to understand what was happening to him. But everything around was so unfamiliar that his thoughts could not keep up. "Let my legs go first. My thoughts will catch up," he said to himself. The meadow Tara walked across was white with fluffy flowers. He began running among the dandelions, jumping and brushing the round heads with his nose. They burst apart, and the tiny parachutes spun above him. "Goodbye," Tara whispered to the drifting fluff. He fell into the grass and rolled onto his back. The world turned upside down, the sky below him, the grass hanging overhead. "If you look from below, the sky is closer," he murmured. Clouds appeared above. Tara grew excited and jumped up. He wanted to bite them, just as he used to do on Tarana. He leapt, stretched, tried again and again, but the clouds remained farther than they appeared. "What strange clouds there are here," he said to himself. A little sadness crept in, and he walked on. On a clearing sat a white rabbit. Its teeth shone so brightly that even the sun blinked. "Hello," said Tara. "Hello," the rabbit replied with a wide smile. "You seem happy," Tara observed. "Of course, when you smile, everyone thinks everything is fine," the rabbit said. "And if everything is not fine," Tara asked, "then you just smile harder," said the rabbit. Tara looked more closely. The rabbit's eyes were slightly tired. "And when no one is watching, do you still smile?" Tara asked. The rabbit paused. "It seems someone is always watching," he said. "We live here inside a bubble." "And what is on the other side of the bubble?" Tara asked. "Everything beyond it does not concern us," the rabbit replied and smiled again. "And if I cannot smile that widely?" Tara asked. "Then smile with your eyes. The main thing is that no one understands what you are thinking." The rabbit smiled even wider. "If no one understands what you are thinking, does that mean thinking is safe? Or does it mean thinking is forbidden?" Tara said, slowly stepping away. The thoughts still followed him, quietly, like footprints in the grass. Tara sat down in the clearing among the flowers, and suddenly something inside him pricked. He listened. "What is that?" Tara said aloud. A buzzing sounded near his ear. A small body flew past, returned, and hovered in front of his face. "How do you do that?" Tara asked. "I tried, but I could not." "You do not have wings," said the bee. "And without wings?" "Without wings, you will interfere with those who fly. So to fly, you must grow wings, said Tara. Or know why you are flying, the bee replied. And why do you fly? I collect nectar. We make honey from it. And what is honey? It is sunlight, folded into cells. Tara pushed his nose into a flower and tasted the nectar. The flavor made his head spin, and he sneezed. Everything smells too strong here, he said. Then choose what to smell, said the bee, and flew away. Tara walked on and noticed a tree. Its trunk was dark, almost black, and its leaves shimmered red. He touched it with his paw. The bark was sticky. He pulled his paw back, but resin stretched after him in a thin thread. Please, said Tara. The resin released him. He fell into the grass. The scent lingered, sweet, almost like nectar. Strange, Tara thought. It smells like joy, but it holds so tightly. The sky grew dark and low. Rain began to fall. The drops were small and clear, unlike those on Tarana. At first, Tara rejoiced. He jumped and opened his mouth, trying to catch them, but soon he was soaked and cold. Here, everything becomes heavy if you rejoice for too long, he sighed. He hid beneath a large leaf and listened to the rain drumming above. The drops are small, but the sound is big, Tara thought. Inside him, it grew heavy. The bee returned and sat beside him. Her wings were wet. You have an ache inside, she said. Tara was surprised. Yes, he said. How do you know? When you carry light inside for too long and do not know where to fly with it, said the bee, it begins to ache. And if flying does not work, then at least you need to know what comes next. And if I do not know? The bee was silent for a moment. You have nectar stored inside you, she said. That is why it aches. Tara nodded. It felt true. When the rain passed, he walked on. He came to a small clearing and saw a girl. Her long hair was twisted into buns and tied with colorful socks. She was drawing a house. The roof looked like a watermelon and the windows like seeds. What are you drawing? Tara asked. A city of watermelons. My home is there. Do you live there? Almost. I keep returning to it. She blew on the drawing. The colors trembled, spread, and the house disappeared. You dissolved your home. Why? Tara asked in surprise. I will draw it again, the girl said calmly. Do you want me to give you paints so you can draw your home? Inside Tara, the ache remained. Does it ache inside you too? He asked. Yes, said the girl, but I do not know what it is. Thank you, but I will not draw, Tara said. Let it ache for now. I want to hear where it leads. When it becomes sweet and quiet inside, I will know that home is near. The sun moved toward sunset, and Tara's legs grew heavy. Stars appeared in the sky. He reached toward one with his nose, could not reach it. He tried to jump, fell like a stone into the grass. He stopped trying and lay silently looking at them. His chest still ached. He did not yet know what it was called, but he decided he would understand it tomorrow, and he fell asleep. Day 2. New friends. Tara woke up from a bright light. The air was transparent. Inside, the ache was still there. "Hello," he said to the world. "What have you been doing here without me?" The world remained silent. Tara lay there a little longer, then got up and walked in the opposite direction. The road led him to a village. Guardians of the caves must live here, Tara thought, looking at the houses behind their fences. A cat was sitting on a fence, gray, lazy, with eyes the color of dust. "You don't seem to be from around here," purred the cat. "And you?" Tara asked. "I'm from everywhere there is sun and a soft place." "Do you want to fly?" Tara asked. "Fly? No. But I want to, and I can't. I don't have wings," Tara said. "If you climb up high and then jump down," said the cat, "you'll be flying without wings." Tara climbed higher and jumped. He immediately landed on the ground. "I'm falling down," Tara said, "and to bite clouds, I need to fly up." "That's exactly why I say you're not from here," purred the cat. Tara sat down beside him. His shadow lay a little farther away and moved together with him. "It's moving!" Tara cried. "Of course, you're moving it," the cat explained. "But back home, it waited for me every evening, and we went to sleep together. I really want to go home," Tara said quietly. "I'm confused. To fly here, you need wings. And now something inside me aches, and my shadow follows me everywhere." The cat lazily turned his head. "A shadow is light that agreed to stand still for a while. It shows where you're still holding on to the ground." "So what should I do with it?" "Sometimes it's enough to tell it, 'Wait for me here.' When the shadow stays behind, then you'll fly." "I don't understand," Tara replied. "Do you know where the tree of young blood grows?" "Strange name," said the cat. "I don't know. Why do you need it?" "In our world, the tree answers all questions and helps when something goes wrong." "You have too many questions," the cat replied and added, "If you lie in the sun, you won't have any questions." Tara thought for a moment. "You must be hungry," said the cat. "Come on." Inside the house, a girl was slicing bread. It lay on a towel and smelled of warm sunlight. "May I smell it?" Tara asked. "Better try it," said the girl. He took a bite. "Is this food?" Tara asked in surprise. "What did you think it was?" "In our world, food is light." "Then you'll get hungry very quickly," the girl said. Tara looked at the crumbs on his nose and smiled broadly. He stood up, thanked her for the food, and said, "I really need to go. Here." He placed a paw on his chest. "It aches a lot. I think I have to find my tree." He went beyond the fence and looked into the distance, and suddenly he saw a tree. It shimmered in the sun with all colors, and Tara ran toward it. Under the tree sat a man with his eyes closed. On a branch above him, a raven was dozing. "Is he asleep?" Tara asked the raven. "No," the raven replied. "He's watching." "Watching what?" "Emptiness." "What is that?" Tara asked. "It's where nothing interferes," said the raven. Tara looked at the man. "Do you sleep sitting up?" he asked. "No," the yogi answered without opening his eyes. "I'm meditating." "And what is that?" "A path to nothing." "Have you been there?" "Every day." "And how would one ever get there? And what does nothing smell like?" "You don't get there. Nothing has no scent." "Then you didn't fly there," said Tara. The yogi smiled and opened his eyes. "I want to understand how flying works here," Tara continued. "Back home, I thought, and I flew." "Here, flying works differently," the man said quietly. "First, what's inside becomes light. The body follows." "How do I become light?" "Take off 3 heavy things and place them beside you: hurry, fear, and must. Between the inhale and the exhale, there is a thin boundary like a drop of light. Sit on it for a moment, and you'll understand." Tara obediently placed 3 imaginary pebbles beside him, sat straight, and aligned his breathing. Inhale, a thin, luminous boundary. Exhale. He waited, and waited a little longer. "It's not working," he whispered. "I don't feel this nothing. It feels far away." "That's normal," the man said. The raven quietly croaked. "You need to learn how to make an upward spiral." Tara didn't understand anything, but he understood that he needed to keep going. By evening, he was tired. The light softened. He lay down on the ground and stared at the sky for a long time. Tara closed his eyes and fell asleep. He dreamed of the rabbit. The rabbit sat in the mist and smiled. "Hello," said Tara. "Hello," replied the rabbit. "Are you still happy?" The rabbit shrugged. "I just keep going. It's easier that way." "And if I stop smiling," Tara asked, "will it be sad?" "You can be joyful if you want. You can be sad if you want." The rabbit added, "Can I do both at once?" "You can, but one at a time is more fun." The mist thickened, and the rabbit dissolved into it. The fog parted, and Tara saw the spider. It seemed to sit in midair. Beneath it, there was no ground, no branch, only emptiness. The spider was weaving its web slowly, without haste. The threads were almost invisible, but sometimes they flashed as if light briefly reminded itself of its presence. "What are you doing?" Tara asked. "Weaving." "But there's nothing here." "Exactly. That's why it's most convenient." The spider pulled a thread, and it lay perfectly, as if it knew its place. "How do you know where to pull?" The spider paused for a moment. "First I see the pattern, and then the spaces between the threads. And if I don't see the pattern, then look into the emptiness." Tara looked carefully into the emptiness. Don't search, just look. The spider stopped weaving and folded its legs. If you look long enough, the pattern will appear by itself, it added. Tara looked. At first he saw only mist, then emptiness. Then he began to notice that emptiness too had depth. He gazed into it, and space slowly began to change. Home, Tara whispered almost pleadingly, and opened his eyes wide as if trying to see Tarana through the sky. And everything around him began to flow, assembling into familiar shapes. 2 suns, a golden horizon, transparent rivers, and a light scent of light that made his head spin. Only his heart now ached differently. Earth lived inside it. It was sweet and quiet. Tara returned home. Day 1. Tarana. Tara seemed to roll out of earthly reality into Tarana and lay in the warm grass, listening to his native world. The blue sun burned so fiercely and shone so brightly that Tara decided to hide in the shade. Above him drifted the elans, like bees, only larger and almost transparent. Their 4 glassy wings trembled, shimmering with gold. A honeyed light pulsed within their slender bodies. They gathered radiant pollen from the fiery leaves, and humming, trailed ribbons of light behind them. Across the golden plain swept a herd of guns, their long speckled necks curved like ribbons, their backs gleaming with a glossy sheen. Tara leapt up, ran to one of them, wrapped his arms around its elongated neck, and covered its warm hide with kisses. The creature gave a light kick, shook him off, and raced back to the herd. Dizzy with happiness, Tara spun and ran on, checking that everything was in its place. The chocolate caves and silvery streams, piles of fallen stones, coral pink moss, and the tree of young blood. A delicate metallic tang hung in the air. The rivers rang at the highest pitch, and from the grottos drifted the mystery of the queens and the scent of cocoa. He hopped and fluttered over low clouds as if over soft foam, licked dew from the fiery leaves, fell into the grass, and rose again, laughing. Overwhelmed with joy, Tara began to cry. Purple drops of bliss scattered onto the grass and, rolling across the golden valley, turned into tiny blue dragons. The dragons spread their wings and rushed upward toward the azure sun. Thus began his first day on Tarana. Tara looked up at the sky. 2 suns stood high, unhurried. Time here once again flowed as he remembered, not forward and not back, but in a circle that always returns to the beginning. The fiery leaves of the tree of young blood rustled nearby. Their edges shimmered. The trunk breathed, slowly, deeply, like a living being that had slept a long time and was finally awake. I'm back, Tara said to the tree. I was on Earth. I saw so much there. Bread with a warm smell, a girl from the city of watermelons, a cat in the sun, a spider and the emptiness between its threads, a rabbit who smiled because it was easier that way, a yogi gazing into nothing. The tree exhaled, and Tara moved on, across Tarana, through familiar places, past the caves, toward the spot where he loved to rest. Day 0, the beginning. Everything began to shake and tremble. The chocolate caves were the first to disappear. Then the guns were carried away by the wind, and thousands of islands rained down to the ground. Tara burrowed deep into the moss, trembled with fear, waiting for the transformation. Suddenly, he felt something warm lift him upward, and his eyes closed on their own. Everything familiar gently receded. He stopped remembering. Someone carefully placed his tiny body into a transparent flower and left it swaying in the wind. On that day, Tara became the silence from which everything begins. And somewhere very close, the air was already preparing to become a breath. This is how stories end, the ones that never truly end.